Director Case.
Here.
Director Foley.
Here.
Director Mendieta Ramos.
Here.
Director Moore Mukunde.
Here.
Director Najib.
Here.
Director Moore.
Here.
Director Pence.
Here. Are we in compliance with the open meetings law?
Yes, we are in compliance.
We have a quorum. We're going to begin tonight's agenda with a congratulations to the men's basketball team.
Thank you, Chair Foley. Yes, a great year has been again for our men's basketball team. A huge congratulations to the men's basketball team on again having won the Region 4 district title and reached the NJCAA Division II national tournament. This marks their 6th appearance at the Division II national tournament since 2019. And so I want to congratulate Coach Randy Casey. Shout out also to Associate Coach Travis, assistant coaches Tom Casey, Andrew McNary, and Steven Sickler, and Aaron Akers. And also, in addition to that, Coach Randy Casey has also been named this year's Region 4 Midwest B District Coach of the Year, which marked the 6th time in 7 years that Coach Casey has earned this prestigious honor. So let's congratulate the team for a job well done this year. Congratulations. Great job.
We stand up or take a picture?
Yeah.
All right. Let's. How did we?
I think that
Yeah.
you stay there and then maybe the 3 of us, the 4 of us go up.
Oh, yeah. There.
So that we're all looking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Stay
stay seated, that way we can.
Oh, well.
One.
Yeah, get closer.
Two. Is everyone in?
Did you get everyone?
Okay. 3.
It's about them, not me. All right, couple more. All right.
Coach. Wait, now, Tony.
I know. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
Right.
Oh, they have.
No. Are those hoodies like, can we buy those? Yeah.
You like those
Well,
things?
look at- well, we're later about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. We have no one signed up to make public comments this evening. So the next agenda item is approval of the minutes. May I have a motion for approval of the minutes from the regular board meeting of February 25, 2025?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Is there any discussion? There being none, this is a voice vote. Would all those in favor of approving the minutes as submitted, please indicate that by saying aye.
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 Hi.
Thank you. Any opposed? There being none, the motion is approved. Next is approval of the consent agenda items. I ask for a motion to approve them all, and we can see if there are any exceptions. Is there a motion to approve all of the items on the consent agenda items?
I'll move approval.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Director Baker, second by Director Mendieta Ramos. Any items that we need to pull from the consent agenda items? There being none, again, this is not a roll call vote. All those, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda items, please indicate that by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda items are approved. Next, our board action items. The first is resolution F0353-03-25, authorizing the sale of $1.5 million general obligation of promissory notes, series 2024-2025J of the Milwaukee Area Technical College District, Wisconsin. We have someone new tonight.
Yes,
Would you please introduce yourself and tell us about the sale?
yes. My name is Tim Weinsek. I am a senior quantitative analyst at Baird, and I work with Justin Fisher, who is on spring break this week with his family. So that's why he's not able to be here today, but he should be able to be back next month. We had great results today on the sale. We were able to receive 7 bids on Series 24-25J, and the low tick was provided by SynCap Investment Group with a tick of 3.04%. For comparison, last month's sale received 5 bids, so 2 extra bids on today's sale, and the tick on that sale was a 2.87. Primary reason that rates are higher is, obviously, I'm sure you guys have been kind of in tune, is markets have been pretty volatile of late, and our benchmark curve has moved higher by about the 15 basis points. That makes up the higher tick on today's sale, but still the 304 is quite a bit better than where the other bids came in. So really happy to share that result today. The following page is kind of a snapshot of this borrowing. So this is the typical $1.5 million monthly borrow. The date that the funds will be received is April 15th. We are sticking with the traditional 6/1/26 to 6/1/29 principal payments. The first interest payment on the new issue will be December 1st. As is typical with these types of issues, this new issue does not carry a call provision since it's so short. The district's credit was maintained at a AA1 for this sale, and as mentioned previously, SynCap Investment Group was the winning bidder of this month's sale. The following page is the financing plan, which shows the updated final interest rates. The average coupon was 450, which is 50% less than the conservative planning estimate. So this reflects slightly lower interest rates than what you would have seen for this borrowing last month. And we're happy to say that everything is still on track in terms of the overall financing plan with the results of today's sale. And lastly is the updated credit rating report for this report. The only main changes, a couple changes, very minor, were the updating of the series name to Series J. This report also reflects the slight increase, the $1.5 million to the college's outstanding debt. So that went up to $76 million from $74.5 million with the 1.5. And the only last change was note of Moody's they published new rating methodology last month, but it was very minor update. Moody's had mentioned that these were just minor editorial updates to enhance clarity and consistency. There was no change to their methodological approach to the credit rating, which is why the college is still rated AA1, and everything else in their report is the same as past months.
So before we open this up for questions or do anything further, we need a motion to approve. Is there a motion to approve resolution F0353-03-25?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Owen Moore. Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Director Pence. Okay. Any questions?
Yes.
Just the new methodology, obviously, just makes my antenna go up for a sec. Is there anything we need to be paying attention to in the future with this?
So the criteria is all the same. They not only did Moody's were they looking at this type of college credit, they were doing kind of an overhaul of all different types of debt. So like our school district clients had to go through the same thing. And there, like for those types of school issues, there were some more material changes, but for MATC's type of debt, nothing super material. It's just mainly an update on there. And since the last methodology that they had published was from November of 22, last month is just a little bit more current, but nothing substantial of note.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the directors online? No. Okay, hearing none. Any other questions in the room? Right, we have a motion from Director Owen Moore and a second from Director Pence. Would you please call the roll?
Director Burris,
Excused.
Director Case,
Aye.
Director Mendieta Ramos.
Aye.
Director Marmal Tunde,
Aye.
Director Najib,
Aye.
Director Owen Moore,
Aye.
Director Pence,
Aye.
Director Baker,
Aye.
Director Foley.
Aye, resolution passes. Next, action item is resolution F0354-03-25, authorizing the issuance of $1.5 million general obligation promissory notes. Series 2024-2025K, Milwaukee Area Technical College District, Wisconsin. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Owen Moore,
I'll second.
and a second from Director Baker. Let me just ask, Mr. Weinsack, is there anything different about this from our past offerings?
Nope, so that'll be next month's offering will be very similar to today, same principal structure. Really, the only changes then obviously we're going a month into the future, so the current scheduled close for that issue is May 13th, so approximately 1 month from when funds will be received from today's Series 24-25J issue.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or any discussion from the directors in the room? Any questions or discussion from the directors online? There being none, we have a motion and a second. Motion from Director Owen Moore and a second from Director Baker. Let's take the roll.
Director Case,
Aye.
Director Mendieta Ramos,
Aye.
Director Marmal Tunde.
Aye.
Director Najib,
Aye.
Director Owen Moore,
Aye.
Director Pence,
Aye.
Director Baker,
Aye.
Director Burris,
Excused.
Director Foley.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Next is resolution F0355-03-25 to approve proposed program titled Biotechnology Laboratory Technician. Dr. Michael Jenkins will be here to answer questions, but before we do that, is there a motion to approve the resolution?
To approve the resolution.
Thank you, Director Owen Moore. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Mendieta Ramos. All right, we have a motion and a second. Dr. Jenkins, would you tell us a little bit about this, and then we'll open it up. There's some questions, I think.
Absolutely. So we are proposing creating a new Associate of Applied Science degree called Biotechnology. This is in conjunction with the BioHealth Tech Hub. You may have heard of the grant award this past spring. The total consortium grant was $80 million. We were awarded $3.9 million, which is being used in part to subsidize creation of this program along with bringing it forth. We do have matching funds in the form of construction of a facility on the 6th floor of this building. And we are hoping to launch the program in August of this year.
Are there any questions? Director Pence.
I'm just trying, I just wanted to get a little bit more knowledge of the grant process, first of all, so we can go out and find more. But how much of that goes towards the lab and how much goes towards the equipment? I'm just kind of trying to.
Sure. First of all, I'm completely in favor of getting more money.
I think you're the first person who said that.
But I'm happy to be the first. So the award was actually set up so that the grant pays for the equipment, and MATC capital funds pay for the construction. The grant also pays for the salary of the full-time instructor who will be leading that program. There are also some grant items attached to related programs that are not biotechnology, medical lab tech, for example. And yes, the advantage of being part of a consortium is there is a group within the consortium, BioForward's kind of taking the lead on it, specifically dedicated to helping us secure additional funding as we go forward with the goal of sustainable funding over time.
Can the lab be configured for other uses throughout the school? Could this be a material science or polymers situation or any other? Can we make it modular?
So the
It's just
best
my
fit
engineering.
is the biological sciences department, which is also part of the STEM pathway. There is a substantial overlap between biotechnology and biological science, particularly microbiology, which we do offer. So we are expecting cross use, particularly in terms of material costs, for example.
Okay.
Which will allow us to better pool our resources.
Got one more.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the kinds of jobs that people will be doing when they graduate? I read through the stuff, but I think it's good to hear a little bit about that also, so people listening who might be interested in it, get to hear about it too.
Oh, I love being able to promote the programs. So thank you for that. The primary jobs will be around research labs. Think of it this way. With any luck, some of our graduates will be involved in efforts to cure cancer or develop better screening protocols for cancer. One of the things that the larger BioHealth Tech Hub is trying to do is build health models around who has the highest risk and where should we best direct our cancer screening dollars in order to best find the people who need early intervention where that's concerned. So hopefully the answer is they'll be changing the future, and in a more selfish note, taking care of me when I reach that point, because I'm not getting any younger.
Yeah. Have a much large aging population across the country where there's going to be a lot of need for that
Absolutely.
research and support.
Absolutely.
Director Baker.
Thank you for referencing the data, Director Owen Moore. I mean, I love reading those reports and encourage anyone to look at that information on our agenda, because it really is very thorough. So I just have to ask, this is a federal grant. There's a lot of changes that are happening in that world. Do we feel that this is this was a multi-year award? Do we feel that this is safe and we can continue building this program based on that?
So thank you for asking that question. Honestly, I'd rather address the elephant in the room than pretend it doesn't exist. So thank you for bringing that up. We can never completely predict the future, but there are reasons I feel very confident about this particular funding source. If you'll indulge me, I'll name a couple. First of all, only half of our money actually comes from the federal government, about $40 million of the $80 million consortium grant. The rest of it came from state and private sources. So that kind of helps protect us. The second thing that helps is, and I don't know how familiar everybody is with federal grant structures, but this is what's called an EDA grant, which is, oh, good, Economic Development Association. The advantage to that is most of the controversy around federal grants have been around ones in specific things like NSF or education. Economic development has been relatively non-controversial and enjoys a large amount of bipartisan support. So again, I would never make guarantees, but I feel pretty confident that we're relatively safe where all of this is concerned. And I think it's a good investment for us to move forward.
Sure.
Just one follow-up.
Please.
How much of the federal funding will we be using in establishing the program? Because, my assumption is once we have enrollment, that will support the faculty. The
Yes.
faculty is paid at first, but enrollment will support it. So for how long do we anticipate using that funding?
So we have a little over 4 years left on the grant. Obviously, if they offered continued support for the faculty, I wouldn't turn it down. But reasonably, 5 years from start to finish, if you count from last through this fiscal year, is a reasonable amount of time to build a program to the point where it can sustain itself reasonably.
Thank you.
Dr. Najib?
Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that we're getting into that field because the trend now towards really biologics in almost every disease. Now every kind of cancer has biologic therapy right now, and it's being more successful than usual. Asthma, rheumatoid arthritis, diabetes. All this really is this promising almost to cure kind of diseases through biologics. I'm so happy that we have that field, especially in the research area. The more technician qualified to do those kind of research, the better result we get. I'm sure they'll be in demand in the future.
Any other questions or comments from the directors online? Anything else from the directors in the room? Director Pence?
This is really cool. I really like this. I like the way this is laid out. This is all about finding your niche. I really think that this could bring regional enrollment to us as well, because I'm assuming that our neighboring tech colleges are not doing this.
You are assuming correctly. The only other college doing biotechnology right now is Madison College. And they're actually partnering with us in the BioHealth Tech Hub.
That's cool. Good work.
Thank you, Doctor. We have a motion by Director Owen.
Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry.
So quick question. Construction. You said construction on the 6th floor. Has it started already?
We have begun what they call the demo process. The good news is they were areas where we were able to move. Again, referencing back to shared resources, we mostly took out microbiology labs. So it kind of was a nice synergy.
Do we know if the contract we have will make room for changing material prices?
I apologize. That's probably a Chris Johnson question.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Thank you.
The contract is on the consent agenda that was just approved. So that's in place now. Whether we will be asked to pick up any tariffs is yet to be seen.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? All right. We have a motion by Director Owen Moore, a second by Director Mendita Ramos. This is voice. It's a roll call on the sheet. Okay. All right. That we don't need a roll call. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate that by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. The motion is approved.
Just a point of clarification. We just moved for this to go to the state board for approval, correct? Is that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Next is resolution F0356-03-25 to approve the proposed program titled Commercial Building Inspector Apprenticeship. Dr. Ishahaku, are you ready to tell us a little bit about this at the stage?
Right.
So before we do that, let me just ask, this is also set up for a roll call vote. It should not be. Okay, good. let's start with a motion to approve. If we can get one and a second. So, thank you. Director Moore-Omokunde, is there a second?
Second.
You're gonna confuse me now with the two words. I know you conspired to do this because I always screw this up, but thank you. Fine. Please tell us about this.
Right, so there was a call from the governor's office about establishing this program. The good thing is that MATC had a similar program in the past, so it was very convenient for us to be able to get it going. The statewide jobs available for this program, and the average salary is about 69,000. There will be 5 courses, together 18 credits, 288 hours of training, and there will be 2288 apprenticeship hours total. 23 apprentices are anticipated to start the program. Registration will start June 2025, and the apprentice will start August 2025. About $30 to $32 an hour paid as apprentice.
Any questions from the directors in the room? Director Baker?
So is this a new apprenticeship field? A field has not been apprenticed
Yes.
before? Oh, and are we the only ones in the state doing it?
Yes.
Unbelievable. Very nice. It's a great field.
Any other questions in the room? Any questions from the directors online? Seeing none, we have a motion from Director Moore-Omokunde and a second from Director Owen Moore. And this is a voice vote. So all those in favor, please indicate that by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? There being none, motion is approved. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Next agenda item is monthly reports. We're going to start with the foundation liaison report from Director Case.
All right. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. So the MATC Foundation Board met Thursday, March 13th. At this meeting, Dr. Cruz provided general remarks on recent announcements from the Department of Education. He noted that the February 14th Dear Colleague letter specified that institutions could face investigation and loss of funding if they employ race-conscious practices in many aspects of campus life, including scholarship awarding practices. MATC is reviewing any potential impact to determine what, if any, next steps it takes. This may include outreach to a handful of contributors to update donor agreements in line with new federal guidance. He reinforced the college's commitment to support each and every one of our students, providing them with the resources they need to succeed. The board members heard a report from Laura Bray and 3 foundation board members who attended the AGB Annual Foundations Conference. The AGB, or the Association of Governing Boards of Universities and Colleges, provides this conference for institutionally related foundations. In the U.S., more than 1,400 foundations exist that are affiliated with public colleges and universities. The conference provided sessions on fundraising, board management, governance, AI tools for fundraising, and stewardship systems to strengthen donor support. Bray noted that this conference introduced tools that the foundation may consider incorporating in next year's budget. The foundation is making progress towards important goals. So far, the MATC Foundation has raised $2.4 million to date, which is 60% of a $4 million budgeted goal and 48% of a $5 million stretch goal. There are several proposals pending that should be determined within the next 90 days. We are on pace to meet the goal of awarding $4 million in student scholarships by the end of the fiscal year. And that concludes my report.
Any questions for Director Case? Dr. Najib, I can no longer see. Oh, there you are. Do you have any questions, Dr. Najib?
No.
All right. Thank you very much for that report. Director Pence.
Just want to mention the foundation event that we had that somebody was making drink sets. And really a fun outing.
Well, what would that be about? This part of the treasurer's report tonight?
Oh. Just part of we had the foundation event was,
The blue tender event.
yeah, the blue tender.
And Dr. Cruz was a guest bartender and as well as others. And it was a very well attended and fun event. And Director Pence and I were both there. So thank you to everybody that attended.
Yeah, been to the blue. I've been to the blue before, but not for this event.
So if this college president thing doesn't work out, you got it back.
I could make some.
He did make a, yeah.
Was that your number one request?
It's the whole thing. I'm gonna learn how to make fashion.
Were you ready for mojitos?
They didn't ask for no.
The rest of the chair's report, on February 24th to 26th, I joined Debbie Hamlet, Vice President and General Manager of Milwaukee PBS, and a couple of community representatives at the American Public Television Stations Public Media Summit in Washington, D.C. Some of you are already familiar with this, or you've gone through the same process with the ACCT Legislative Summits in Washington, D.C., where we received updates from people at the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and Public Broadcasting System, and from some of the station affiliates, and about the current status of funding for public television and related activities. The ask is always broken down in terms of money for Ready to Learn, which is a PBS pre-K through 8th grade program that can be used by homeschoolers or rural, actually by anybody, but by rural districts that don't have the ability to develop their own curriculum, and for even some city-sized districts. There is a request every year for funding for the network that connects all of the public television stations, which is a fiber optic network, and is part of a critical element in the national warnings system. So when you see across the bottom of your screen an Amber Alert or a weather emergency, that's actually public television spectrum that's being used to broadcast that. And then there's always an annual request for funds to maintain the system, the broadcast towers, and all of that. The total ask this year is actually for 2 years out. It's always funded on a 2-year basis. The total ask this year was for about $650 million, a little less than that, which is actually an increase over previous years. The continuing resolution that was recently passed by Congress continued funding for the fiscal year that ended in October of 2024. So they finally got that done, and now they're working on the budget for 2025-26. There is a proposal to zero out funding for public television. And so I think it behooves us to think about what that would mean for our public television station, if anything like that occurs, and for us to contact our representatives about our views on that subject matter. That such a resolution has been proposed every year for almost the last 10 years. But this is the first time that, and those resolutions have all been by Republican legislatures. This is the first time they've had control of both houses of Congress and the presidency, except for a short time in the Trump administration. So it's never been brought to the floor and actually voted on, I don't think, but it certainly hasn't been adopted in the past. The APTS, which is the television stations, that organization is lobbying, and we met with our representatives to educate them about the importance of all of these things. And it's also a joint effort by Wisconsin Public Television, Wisconsin Public Radio, and Milwaukee Public Television, because we are separately embodied. So there were some members of Congress that only they met with, some that only we met with, some that we met with together. Senator Baldwin was very supportive. Congresswoman Moore's office was very supportive, as they have been. Lots of non-committal answers from a lot of other places. The next thing is the Create the Spark Pathway Showcase event for MATC Creative Arts Design and Media Pathway, which will take place on Thursday, May 8th from 4 to 7 p.m. at the downtown campus. It's an open house style event where guests can view and interact with students and their portfolio work, hear live music presentations, taste culinary and baking creations, and tour some of MATC's most interactive student labs and unique facilities. Please let Beth or Peter know if you would like to RSVP for the event. Sounds like a good one to attend.
May 18th.
May 8th. Commencement update. The 2025 spring commencement will be held on Saturday, May 17 at the UWM Panther Arena at noon. Holding the commencement at the Panther Arena, which has held MATC commencements in the past, allows us to confirm the date earlier in the semester, given Vicer Forum's potential to host NBA playoff games. So please confirm your availability with Beth or Peter. In fact, if you're sure you're not going to attend, please let them know that as well, so we can make sure that this event is well attended by members of the board. And I encourage you all to participate. I think everyone here has been through one commencement now, at least, and a couple of us have been through more than one. That's it for the chair's report. Next on the agenda is the president's report.
Thank you, Chair Foley, and good afternoon, everyone. Continue with the sports theme. In response to student demand, MATC is launching an esports program, electronic sports program. The Stormers will compete against other state schools in Wisconsin in the esports conference as part of an effort to elevate that whole esports thing that's going on all over the country. I mean, there's a lot of this at colleges and universities throughout the country. And esports involves competitive video gaming, where players and teams compete in leagues across a variety of game titles. MATC is the only two-year college in the state to offer an associate's degree in computer simulation and gaming. And the addition of esports supports the college's recruitment efforts, which have increased during the last 3 years. So we welcome esports. I don't know how I can talk about it a little bit later if he has any friends or himself that they're into esports, but it is something that is growing in popularity throughout the country. Enrollment, I'm delighted to share that we have not only met, but exceeded our enrollment goal for this year by 4%. And I have to say that achievement comes through the hard work of so many individuals here at the college. I want to congratulate everyone that has taken part in making this happen. I want to extend my congratulations and thanks to our marketing, recruitment, our faculty, our student services, our foundation teams for their tireless efforts in making sure that, you know, we reach and surpass our enrollment goals here at the college. Your commitment and hard work is truly appreciated. You have detailed enrollment report at your seats, and I want to take note that Director Pence has asked to see the enrollment broken down by zip code so that we can see where students are coming from. And we will have that report available to the board members at our next board meeting. On March 6th, we had another successful open house here at the downtown campus for prospective students. We had 123 staff and faculty members representing over 100 individual programs and departments. We checked in 255 prospective students with approximately 450 total attendees, including friends and family. On that same day, March 6th, we had a student town hall meeting where we gathered to get student feedback on the college's student success inventory survey results to make sure that, you know, this is something that we have shared with our faculty and staff, but we wanted to make sure that we had the voice of the students, understanding their perspective on these results, identifying some of our strengths when it came to the results of that survey, but also some of the challenges and how we can work through those challenges. And the students came forth with a lot of great recommendations that we'll be looking at and seeing how we can implement those to improve the student experience here at MATC. On March 19th, the college held its first MATC Teams Day. That's where employees in each division had the opportunity to come together for collaboration on goal setting, team development, workshops, networking opportunities. Various topics were covered, including innovative teaching methods, enhancing customer service skills. Given the positive feedback that we've received from the participants, we envision having this event in the years to come. It's a great time. We have MATC Day, but this is really about teams coming together and really focusing more on strategy and how they can improve the services that they provide to our students. We also had the Sister Network Luncheon on March 21st. Student engagement and community impact, along with the Black Excellence Leadership Alliance, hosted the Sister Network Luncheon here at the downtown campus. This event celebrated years of service for campus community members while acknowledging their contributions advancing the college. This is a great example of how we bring people together in an effort to build a more caring culture here at the college. And a special thanks to Aaliyah Cross for bringing the idea forward and coordinating the logistics of the event. Coffee with Cruz events. I've been busy on the different campuses at Mequon, West Allis, and Walker Square in the last 30 days. Great events at these campuses where I've been able to bring people together, have conversations, pour a cup of coffee, and have some laughs at the same time. I also visited our downtown child care center here last week, where I handed out cookies and read some stories to the children. And so I told all the children to remember two things. Reading is fun and college is important. So hopefully they'll keep those two things in mind as they grow up, and hopefully they'll be students here one day, right? And I plan on going onto the other locations that we have daycare centers at our locations, and also doing a very similar thing with the children on those locations. Strategic planning update. Following the district board retreat discussion of the new strategic plan on February 8th, the strategic planning steering committee and executive leadership team provided their feedback on a draft. This week, the president's cabinet reviewed the revised plan and explored how the recommended strategy, priorities, and objectives would prepare MATC to address current and emerging challenges. We continue working towards the district board adoption of this spring. To support the college's annual goal of setting the process beginning July 1st. And the last thing I want in my report is to introduce our new Vice President of Administration and Operations, Paul Zink. So I asked Paul to come up just for 1 second here, kind of just introduce himself to the board and say a few words about being a big part now of MATC.
Thank you, Dr. Cruz, and good afternoon, directors and all. I'm excited to be here. It's week 2, so day 7, technically. I've met 1,000 people. I think the Teams Day was a great opportunity to kind of see all the teams together and talk with them. I have been at this higher education thing for a while. I've worked at a similar institution. I was at the Community College District of St. Louis, where I was Vice Chancellor for Finance and Administration, a very similar position, oversaw many of the same things that I will oversee here. Those things are finance and budget and all the finance activities, the facilities group, the information technology, and bookstores and food service. So kind of touches everybody a little bit there. And those are the very same things I've been working with for the last 18 or so years in higher education. I'm excited to be here. Dr. Cruz has been very kind to give me 2 or 3 more days to get my my head straight and get my feet wet before and learn everything. So that's been very good. I look forward to working with all the staff. It's been so welcoming, and certainly working with all of you to serve our students. I'm just happy to be here. So thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. And I also wanted to mention and thank Eva, our CFO, for her leadership in the time that the transition between the last vice president and Paul taking now this position. Eva's done an excellent job of with budget, finance, and making sure that we're continuing to do great things in that area. So I want to thank Eva for her work, and she'll continue as CFO. And continue to do great work for the college, but I wanted to take the time to acknowledge her as well. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Next is the treasurer's report. Director Pitts.
Okay, so just wanted to point out a couple of budget items. Obviously, our talk has been about Zancell for a number of years here. We're at about 4.2 million, whichever direction that goes in the future. Just wanted to point it out. I also noticed that our legal expenses went up just a bit. We ended last year at 1.1 million. We budget for 600,000. I was told this year we're going to only be over 100,000. And this is outside. This is outside legal, correct? Okay. So this is Denise. This is
more than Denise.
This is outside legal, but I was also told that Michael Best is freezing their rates for us, if that is what I was told correctly. And then the really tough one here, Mark, is we pay $58,000 a year for the District Boards Association. And I'm wondering if that's the right spend the money. It's due in June. I think we should have a conversation, just make sure. My opinion is that I like the ACCT programming. We pay $8,000 for that. I'm just pointing it out. I know where you stand on this, but I am just pointing it out as a responsible treasurer. Next is our controversial AAC committee. We are coming up with a really simple reporting sheet to come out with that will shorten up all of the long audit follow-up reports, and that's something that Beth and Brian are working on to show the board what is going on. And then at our next meeting, we're going to go over the committee charter and see how that works out and how that needs to be structured. So,
any questions for Dr. Pence?
Will we schedule a conversation, like maybe in your report or something next month, to talk about the Boards Association issue?
Yeah.
Do you need a motion to that effect or anything?
No, I don't think we need a motion to that effect. There is the annual meeting of that association is on April 11th. And the association is frankly struggling right now with its identity. The executive director that had been there for a long time is now the system president. And that occurred with about 30 days notice. And so I think we need to see what's going to come out of that meeting and what its commitments will be to what they're going to do in the future and how they're going to pay for it and all of that. And so I'd like us to have a conversation about that for certain, but I think it should occur after that meeting. And I'll be at that meeting. I've actually been asked to oversee the election of officers. That's, as I said, I think April 11th. I also think we need to bring all the threads together about that we've been pulling on relating to how the board should exercise its financial and budgetary oversight. The work Director Pence has been doing with the committee charter for the OPEB and audit committee, et cetera. And that, of course, relates to the policies that we have talked about a couple of times now, but not yet voted on, which would change some of that by policy, but would also change some of the descriptions of the jobs of the treasurer and perhaps the vice chair and others on the board. Those things have been proceeding on roughly parallel tracks, and they all need to be brought together. So I'll be talking to you about how we should do that, but I think it needs to be done probably at the April meeting. with some work between now and then.
The next audit committee is April 30th after our next meeting.
Okay. It's after our next meeting.
It's
Okay.
after our next meeting.
Okay,
So
thank you for that.
Just pointed out that we're working on a couple of easy documents for reporting.
Would it be your recommendation that we wait until May to have the conversation?
On that.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, well,
Whatever Mark wants to do with the DPA.
if it makes sense to wait till we have that input, we can do it in May, but I don't want to wait another month to start having the conversations and bringing things together. All right, anything else on the treasurer's report?
No.
Any other questions for our treasurer? Great, and now we have the report, thank you, yes, from our district student senate, Warren Murphy. Welcome again, and go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Foley, Dr. Cruz, members of the board, community. With the Supreme Court and superintendent elections happening this coming week here, we've had some great events regarding that. So Your Ballot, Your Future was something we did this month, where Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, or former Lieutenant Governor, forgive me, and other Wisconsin leaders encourage students to vote and participate civically. I hope you're all choosing to do so as well. Another interesting voter engagement event that we have on campus is actually happening today, right now at this moment in our student lounge. The students are viewing a movie called The Boycott, which is an interesting movie about Rosa Parks and the Montgomery bus boycott. After the movie, there will be a little panel discussion where again, we'll hopefully encourage students to participate civically. Previously mentioned that MATC Times was nominated for some awards. And after attending the College Media Association, I'm happy to report we received 6 awards in New York. And then shortly after, thank you. Shortly after, I was able to represent MATC Times and go to a conference in Madison for the Wisconsin Newspaper Association. And we actually won 5 awards there as well. So that's 11 in 1 week for MATC Times. Awards aren't the reason any of us do these things, but it is really nice to be acknowledged. Our district student association approved a variety of partial fundings for student organizations to make some major waves on campus and in their personal journeys. We approved the new international student organization, and I'm really excited to see how this student organization will support each other and support our students on campus. Our mothership and game club organizations attended GDC, or Game Development Conference, which is the world's premier game development conference. And they made very valuable connections, and I know they learned a lot from industry professionals. In my previous board report, I mentioned our efforts to get 2001 Assembly Bill 264 reintroduced. This has been a continued effort, and we've met with Chris Larson's office to gain clarity on the process. And we'll be continuing to reach out to other institutions, as well as trying to find a Republican representative to help back the effort. DSA also unanimously approved our recommendation for coming student fee increases. We understand this decision is with the board, but we're recommending a $5 increase to take place over the next 2 years. I provided each of you with a letter that explains our reasoning, and I think the letter shows that this isn't a recommendation made with haste or without considering the impact, but we encourage you to read that in your own time. Our DSA has seen a lot of participation from student organizations, and one org I'd really like to highlight in specific is our neurodivergent network. They've been very present, very vocal at meetings, and I won't speak for them, but I know there's been growing concern about the possible impact they could face due to challenges in the federal government. In that same vein, I want to make a point that I'm extremely appreciative of Dr. Cruz's messages and continued transparency, especially regarding the Community Impact Department. Thank you all for your time, and I look forward to seeing you at the ballot box next week.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any questions for our student representative? Director Baker.
What's the process when the student government makes a recommendation?
I have no idea. We're gonna have to look into
We'll find out.
Okay, it was one of those things that we knew that you were going to be talking about coming up here. And so we know the decision is yours to make, but we'd love our 2 cents to just be heard as well.
I think it may just be part of the budget approval process,
Okay,
as we incorporate that into our fiscal budget for next year.
okay, thanks.
Any other questions, Director Moore?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What was the name of the 2021 bill? AB?
It is AB
261.
264, 2001 Assembly Bill 264. And that was regarding taxes on textbooks,
2001, 2020,
2001.
2001. Ooh, okay. It's gonna be hard to find. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions in the room? Any questions from the directors online? Seeing none, thank you very much. Next agenda item is board monitoring, community education hubs, and Dr. King is not here. So, Dr. Bird, please. Dr. Mishako. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning or good afternoon.
As you are aware, the board asked us to work on the community education action plan for the whole of last year. I was appearing on the monthly meetings to give you updates. And now I no longer supervise that area. Dr. Bird and Dr. Gomez are the new leaders of the community education area. And they have done a lot of work to continue what we started. So Dr. Bird is here to give an update on the hubs that we have built around.
All right, are we going to advance the slides? All right. So as you know that we've been working on this for quite some time, the last couple of years. I've been here for just almost 9 months in this role. And prior to my arrival, we came together and we had some recommendations to support community education students. So 1, developing a one-stop shop. 2, addressing staff shortages. 3, addressing faculty shortages. 4, adjusting the application process. 5, addressing testing procedures. And 6, marketing and recruitment. Let's move ahead. So as we endeavored to develop a one-stop shop for our community education students, we considered the following. We thought about our previous challenges. Across the MATC district, continuing community education students lacked a centralized location within the regional campuses as well as downtown for inquiries, applications, testing, and registration. So strategically, we launched several community education hubs during the fall 2025 semester under the strategic direction of the college's executive leadership. The implementation timeline is as follows. Oak Creek launched in September 2024, downtown October 2024, West Dallas December 2024. We still have plans for the Mequon campus as well as some strategic operational updates to the Walker Square campus. The impact of these efforts is that the hub addresses critical accessibility issue, and we have been able to streamline the student onboarding and retention processes at the college. So moving on, as we dig a little deeper into the one-stop shop, the model is strategically designed based on the academic and career pathways office model at MATC. All of the other career pathways have pathway offices, and now we have community education hubs. In the hubs, we provide comprehensive support to students and prospective students. That's really important. So within the hub space, if you were to visit, you'd see as its core function, you'd see a very direct, intensive case management approach. And within that approach, we support students through admissions, testing, registration, and ongoing navigation of MATC systems and resources, which really gets at that feeling of belonging and that sense of belonging that we want all of our students to encounter here at MATC. The hubs are strategically located. The proximity of admissions and testing services at each of the regional hub locations enhances our students' accessibility and staff facilitation of the students' experiences with those horizontal departments and those essential resources. We have a very student-centric approach within each community ed hub. Again, through that direct, intensive case management framework, hub staff focus on connecting students to relevant resources and fostering a sense of belonging within the MATC community. Hub staff aim to streamline the student journey and empower them to achieve their educational goals. Comprehensive support is achieved through, again, you hear again, that direct case management approach, and it's an intensive direct case management approach. Our hub staff offer personalized assistance through these very critical stages of admissions, testing, registration, etc. I believe next we have a brief video that gives you just sort of a slice of life of what a student may encounter in a community education hub. There we go.
Looking to finish high school or learn English? MATC and our community education hubs can help. Community education hubs are where you can apply for programs, take tests, register for classes, and get your questions answered. And even after you've started your classes, the hub will be there to help. It has all the support you need in one convenient place. If you're ready to sign up or just have some questions, visit a community education hub. Ready to apply? You can start online. The QR code on the screen will connect you to an application and tell you where our community education hubs are located. See you at the hub.
Next slide, please. So within those hubs, we accommodate all community ed students, and that includes all of the different programs that we support, whether it's English language learning, programs that we center around adult high school like GED, high school equivalency diploma, etc. So this data set is just an example of how the enrollments across community education have grown, particularly in the last several years, but this data set really looks at the last 12 months, or from January 2024 to January 2025. So just taking a high level overview of that data, we can see just in ESL enrollment alone, just in those programs alone, from 24 to 25, 20% growth across the board. And you should all be looking at the West Dallas campus on the far right. And that one is over 60% growth. So quite a bit of growth within those hubs. And you have to imagine that if we're having that much growth, that means we're having a lot more foot traffic in our spaces. And the hub spaces are welcoming spaces for that foot traffic, welcoming spaces for our academic support specialists, our advisors, and all those who are directly involved in direct case management to support those students. Students may walk in, or they may set up an appointment for that support. Next slide. So where does that bring us? That brings us to next steps, okay? So we continuously share out our data with our faculty and our staff in community education. Particularly, we work very closely with all of the staff who work directly in those hubs, and we operate the PDCA process that we have in place here at MATC to refine our processes to ensure that we're offering our students an amazing, not just a good, but an amazing student experience. And so to that end, as Dr. Gomez and I go back and prepare for fall 2026, we're engaging hub staff in goal setting in terms of how many students we're seeing, how those students' numbers are translated into our existing systems like EAB Navigate, et cetera, for tracking. We're thinking very closely about staffing. How are we going to efficiently staff these hubs, and I have to tell you, these are very busy places. And so we have to consider staffing and how we can get the most of each staff member. And thirdly, and what is really close to my heart is transition. We're using the hubs as launching points to target very specific students in our programs. Some of those students are those engaged in our integrated education and training program, which allows them to take high school courses and college courses at the same time. We're looking at individuals in our upper level ESL courses, and we're looking at our GED and our HSCD students. And we're finding ways. I'm currently operating a task force of about 17 or 18 faculty and staff, and we're looking at very specific ways that we can work with our students to transition them from high school and adult basic education courses to here at MATC and beyond. Do you have anything, Dr. Lisa?
That's it. Thank you. Great. Thank you.
Questions in the room?
Thank you. So I think I may know the answer to this question already, but given some of the conversation we've had in the past. But looking at data enrollment on page 3, and I'm looking at the online enrollment going from 660 to 520. Is there something you can tell us that we haven't heard before? I'll say that.
About the online enrollment?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, prior to my arrival, I know that Dr. Lee, you want to go ahead? Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
As you all know, the pandemic actually brought about serious online considerations. This student group learn best in person. So we've seen that they're returning, and our concept of online here also includes virtual. So there are some students who cannot make it on campus, but they are able to log into their phone or their laptop or iPad to follow the instruction, especially for ESL. I mean, to learn a language, you also need to see and observe what is going on, lip movements and so on. And that's why you've seen the decline.
Okay. Yeah, it was intentional.
That's what I thought. Thanks.
I'm curious about when we talked about the enrollment process before, where they can enroll online and they kind of get the message, you're accepted already. I'm wondering if through these programs too, that when they do the GED testing, at the end of it, there might be something that just is like, guess what? You're accepted here if you want to come. Or when they complete the certain level ESL course, you're accepted. They might just go, okay, then I just start, right?
Yeah.
It might help with that transition.
Yes, I'm looking at Tony to see if I can catch his sight. We've been talking about direct admit
Yeah.
for this category of students, and so we're in the process of streamlining that as well. So students kind of concurrently get enrolled in GED, ESL, as also in college programs. Yes.
I just want to say what a great work. The progress that we've shown since we started talking about this, you guys have done a great work and truly appreciate that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Baker?
Yeah, I want to echo that. I mean, these were exactly the kinds of concerns, including the transition to program code and, classes. I recall, and you've only been here 9 months, Commissioner Bird, but I can recall several years ago when we moved our community ed out of the academic side. And it was part of what was going on with pathways or whatever, but so it was no longer under the academic house, it was community ed. And we really lost then the benefit we were gaining through pathways where we had those hubs. So the identification of that and, moving into this really sounds like we're answering students' needs. So great work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is that video we saw, is that available on YouTube? Okay.
Tony says yes. Okay.
Any questions or comments from the directors online? Seeing none, I would just like to point out one thing about in response to the question about the declining online enrollment. the number is still bigger than 2 of the campuses.
Yeah.
Right? And bigger than 3 of them used to be, right? It's still a significant number.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. No, thank you for your time.
Do we have any new business?
I'm trying to think of something just so we can make you sit here longer on your birthday.
Thank you.
I've really been trying.
I have something that I mentioned to Dr. Cruz, and I hope that this is the right opportunity to bring it up. The dental hygienist program. I happened to be at my dentist, which I still go all the way to Chicago, and my hygienist was an MATC, and they were phenomenal. But then I posted about it and started hearing that there's a need in our dental hygienist program, like we have more enrollments or desire to enroll than we have space and things like that. So I thought an update to the board might be nice, and even some learning for us on where we are with enrollment, what is the demand, and what needs there might be as a college. So if there are ways that as a board we can contribute to that, we can do so.
Yeah, we could definitely have an update at the next board meeting. I know Dean Goss could help with that, right? Okay, dental hygiene, just an update on our dental hygiene program. And that, you know, the grant that we received from the state, where we are with that, and how that's going to help with increasing capacity for new student enrollment in the dental hygiene program. It's something that we get it. And the other thing is that while it may not coincide with the day of the board meeting, I would love to have the board members visit the clinic, the dental hygiene clinic, when it's available. We actually have patients there. I went there about a month and a half ago. I was really impressed with the facilities, with the professionalism of our students, with the professionalism of our faculty, and everything they're providing to our students. And given that we got this grant from the state this year, and we're working on expanding the size of the clinic and expanding the number of seats that we'll have available to future dental hygienists, I think it's a really great opportunity. But we definitely will have something in the next board meeting that will have more detail, and we'll have a presentation that will give you that detail. But I'd like to get Beth to help with sometimes to share that that coincide with your schedules, that you can come and visit the clinic before that presentation, before the next board meeting, so you get an idea of, not just an idea, but you actually see what's happening, and then you'll hear more about in detail from the dean.
Right.
Nice.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Future announcements, next board meeting, April 22nd, in this very room at 4:00 p.m. I promise you it will not be as short as tonight's agenda. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second? Think about it. Want to stay a while?
Well, let's all wish Director Foley a happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
All in favor? All opposed? I'm opposed.